In this video we will use the langchain library to load text data from files in a directory and print the type and content of the loaded data. First, we import the necessary modules, DirectoryLoader from langchain, document loaders and RecursiveCharacterTextSplitter from langchain.text. These modules allow us to load files from a directory and split the text into characters. We create an instance of DirectoryLoader with the directory path from which we want to load the files. The optional parameter glob allows us to specify the pattern for file matching. We call the load method on the DirectoryLoader instance to load the files from the specified directory. The loaded data is stored in the variable TXT data. Finally, we print the type of TXT data using print and print the content of TXT data using print. Please note that the specific functionality and structure of the loaded data depend on the DirectoryLoader implementation and the content of the files in the specified directory. This serves the following purposes. Importing the necessary modules, we import the DirectoryLoader module from langchain, document loaders and the RecursiveCharacterTextSplitter module from langchain.text. These modules provide us with the functionality to load files from a directory and split text into characters. Creating a DirectoryLoader instance, we create an instance of DirectoryLoader and pass the directory path from which we want to load the files. The optional glob parameter allows us to specify a pattern for file matching. This step sets up the loader to retrieve the desired files from the specified directory. Loading the files, we call the load method on the DirectoryLoader instance to load the files from the specified directory. The loaded data is stored in the TXT data variable. This step allows us to access the content of the files for further processing or analysis. Printing the type and content of the loaded data, we print the type of TXT data using print to understand the data structure or format of the loaded content. Additionally, we print the content of TXT data using print to see the actual text data that has been loaded. These print statements help us verify the successful loading of the data and provide us with visibility into the content for further processing or analysis. By following these steps, we can effectively load text data from files in a directory and access it for various purposes, such as natural language processing, text analytics, or further data manipulation. Here's an explanation of why text splitting is required, the need for different loaders for different file types, and the potential use of loaded data for tasks like text embedding. Text splitting is required when dealing with large blocks of text that need to be processed at a more granular level, such as sentences or words. Splitting the text into smaller units allows for more focused analysis, such as sentiment analysis, language modeling, or information extraction. In the given code snippet, the RecursiveCharacterTextSplitter module could be used to split the loaded text into individual characters, which might be useful for specific text processing tasks that operate at the character level. Different loaders for different file types. Different loaders are necessary because various file formats require different methods of loading and processing. For example, loading a directory of text files is different from loading a CSV file or a database table. Each loader is designed to handle a specific file format or data source, providing a standardized way to extract data from those sources. In the code snippet, the DirectoryLoader is used to load text files from a specified directory. If you are working with a different file format, you would need to use a different loader specifically designed for that format. Use of loaded data. After loading the data, you can perform various operations on it depending on your objectives. One common use case is to process the loaded text data to generate embeddings. Embeddings are numerical representations of text that capture semantic meaning. These embeddings can be used for tasks like text classification, information retrieval, or recommendation systems. Once the data is loaded, you can pass it through an embedding model to obtain the embeddings for further analysis or downstream tasks. It's important to note that the specific use of loaded data and the choice of loaders, splitters, or embedding techniques depend on the specific requirements of your project or task at hand. The langchain library provides a flexible framework to handle various file formats, perform text operations, and integrate with other NLP components.